Oki.
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 Oki and welcome.
We acknowledge that we're gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains.
We pay respect to the Blackfoot people's past,
Present. And future.
We recognize the thousands of Indigenous peoples
From many diverse nations.
Call Lethbridge home.
Including members of the Blackfoot Confederacy,
The six gates of the beat.
Akana,
Siksika.
Amskapi people.
As well as other First Nations.
Métis, and Inuit peoples.
we respect Indigenous people's cultural heritage,
beliefs,
Truth
And relationship to the land.
that stretches back in time.
We will not blink at history.
We will not blink at history.
and we will learn from it.
Oki is an invitation.
A step forward.
in Blackfoot, Oki means hello.
Oki means hello.
Hello.
Oki.
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 Oki and welcome to the lands of the Blackfoot people.
Good morning. That was our Oki video, which was a goal of increasing awareness, education, and conversation in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, especially within the city and the community. It was created with our Indigenous partners and produced by local company, Output Media. Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce, Stringham LLP, the Lethbridge Coast Hotel and Conference Center, and to LA Chefs, which we're all being fed here this morning, for coming here today to this 2023 State of the City Address. It's been 15 months since myself and Councillors Mark Campbell, Jeff Carlson, Belinda Croson, Reiko Dodick, John Middleton Hope, Nick Palladino, Ryan Parker, and Jen Schmidt-Rempel, several of whom are here this morning, took our oath of office and formed the current Lethbridge City Council. It's been a great honor and privilege for all of us to serve the Lethbridge residents. Council will continue to work with our local elected representatives, MP Rachel Thomas, MLAs Shannon Phillips and Nathan Newdorf, and other orders of government for the collective goal of creating a better Lethbridge and to advocate for the resources and funding our city needs to address the key issues. We will push to further secure and advance our business sector's needs so that we can be the first place investors and businesses come to when they look to open new doors, new ventures, or expand their current ventures. Between City Council, City Administration, and all the hardworking departments in the corporation, there were some challenges in 2022 and here into 2023. I'll talk today about some of those things: physician recruitment efforts, community safety, plus, as we've heard, the city budget and taxes. We'll try to skip through that one as quick as possible. There are also plenty of good news stories from the city of Lethbridge, many of which I speak about here this morning. I'll discuss the results from the 2022 Community Satisfaction Survey, which shows that 90% of the respondents rank their quality of life in Lethbridge as good or very good. I'll talk about the airport, Festival Square, our wonderful community and regional partners, many of whom are here, as well as the Intergovernmental Health Table, the Clean Energy Program, and the city's upcoming new website and customer portal. Long story short, Lethbridge is the gateway to opportunity. During the course of this presentation, I'll show you why. I'll be speaking this morning on items focused through 6 different sections: City Council's 2022 Gateway to Opportunity Action Plan, our top priorities and issues, major projects and events, major community and regional partners, City Lethbridge finances, plus the next steps for 2023 and beyond. At the end, I'll open up the floor for any questions you may have. And as Stephen mentioned, very tough ones, but we can keep them calm, right, Stephen? Good? No? Okay. 1 year ago, almost to the day, Council was happy to unveil the Gateway to Opportunity 2022 Action Plan, which outlines the initiatives we've identified as priorities. Council pledged an approach that clearly articulates priorities, creates further transparency, reports performances, and builds community trust. Council's action plan was created using the Municipal Development Plan, the MDP, as a guiding strategic document. Goals in the MDP include setting a vision and policy guidance for the city to improve residents' quality of life, to meet the community's changing needs, to foster a prosperous local economy, and to grow in a responsible manner for years to come. The initiatives identified in the Council Action Plan are each aligned to one or more of the MDP's 6 strategic themes: economically prosperous, healthy and diverse, culturally vibrant, well-designed city, environmentally responsible, and supports the region. The action plan includes 24 initiatives prioritized as now, next, or later items. 7 initiatives have been completed, including 6 of the 8 identified as Council's most immediate priorities. The 4th quarter update will be coming to Lethbridge City Council next week. And a further detailed look at the action plan could be available at, or is available, not can be, is available at lethbridge.ca/2022 action plan. In the next section, I'll identify and discuss some of the top priorities and issues in Lethbridge, including community safety, supporting the vulnerable population, budgetary impacts, physician recruitment and retention, as well as snow control changes. This is by no means a full or exhaustive list. The Big C, City of Lethbridge Corporation, is not the only exclusive municipality facing similar challenges, and the City of Lethbridge is not solely responsible on jurisdiction on some of these matters. There are issues happening in our community, so we do have the responsibility to do what we can within our roles and continue to advocate in areas of need to other orders of government. Lethbridge City Council and the City of Lethbridge staff care deeply about the wellness of our community. The annual Stats Canada Crime Severity Index, which always seems to draw the most negative of headlines when it's released each and every year, is on a downward trend in Lethbridge, as it is in many parts of the country. From 2020 to 2021, the CSI was down by more than 7% in Lethbridge. The city has a role of ensuring a clean and safe community, facilitating partnerships and advocating other orders of government for the services needed. Much work has been done from city administration and past city council to move this forward. And of course, there's more work to be done. Responding to a drug crisis, for example, is a very, very complex issue. The city is one partner in response as we work to support the provincial government and the agencies who provide the programs and services related to addictions and mental health within our community. Our intergovernmental health table, which I'll speak to a lot more later, will also help address these matters moving forward. We'll always advocate for the resources we need, but Council does not direct, for example, the Lethbridge Police Service. That is the role of the Police Commission. I speak more about community safety as well in a couple of slides from now when we'll discuss the budgetary impacts. Here's a graph outlining community roles and responsibilities in responding to homelessness. One of the biggest components at the municipal level is to advocate other orders of government for further supports in our city. On the note of advocacy and supporting the vulnerable population, we now have updated data collected from local social service organizations and shelters during last fall's 2022 point in time, which is the PIT count that we hear about, which indicates that 454 individuals were experiencing homelessness on September 27th, 2022. This number more than doubled from the previous count in 2018. This demonstrates a great need for more affordable and supportive housing and services to support this and service and care for those most vulnerable in our community. Results from the Lethbridge 2022 PIT count will be used to improve our community's response by identifying service needs and informing plans to prevent and reduce homelessness. The City of Lethbridge continues to advocate and implement increased supports under the Community Wellbeing and Safety Strategy, the CWSS, for those experiencing homelessness in our community. To view the final PIT report and for more information on other initiatives Community Social Development is working on, please visit the city's website. Last July, City Council allocated up to $230,000 in one-time funding from corporate budget contingencies to assist in the administrative and policing funding shortfalls to expedite compassionate cleanup at encampments as they continue to pose a safety risk to both the individuals living within as well as the rest of the community. Creating a safe and viable community continues to be a priority, as does a compassionate approach to our homeless population. In November, City Council received a report outlining community feedback around the potential development of an interim sober shelter at the former Civic Curling Center. Following the presentation, Council voted unanimously to rescind previous direction to apply for a development permit for this site and instead continue to explore this and other possible sites. Administration has been directed to return to Cultural and Social Standing Policy Committee with an alternative site to consider. City Council also authorized the Mayor to write a letter to the provincial government requesting support on funding opportunities and the site selections for sober shelters in Lethbridge. The work to develop an interim sober shelter location looks at mid-range options to address housing challenges in Lethbridge while also working towards long-term solutions. Council's decision to move to the discussion on location to a standing policy committee will allow for additional community feedback and conversation. Lethbridge City Council in November voted unanimously to approve the City of Lethbridge's 2023 to 2026 operating budget. With its approval, the 2023 to 2026 average annual change in municipal tax rate is 5.1% for each of the next 4 years. Who shouted and was, all right. Oh gosh, that really threw me right off now, right? This is equal to $129.93 per year per single family house based on the average market value of $285,800. Public safety is the #1 concern residents come to City Council with, and this budget reflects the investment we're making to address some of those concerns. No one welcomes a tax increase, except over at this table over here, right? But with zero increases over the past 3 years and climbing inflation, this is the budget needed to maintain our service levels and address those resident concerns. In 2019, there was a 1.82% municipal tax increase, which was the lowest in 20 years. The City of Lethbridge then maintained a 0% increase to the municipal portion of residential taxes for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022 to minimize the financial impacts of the pandemic to property owners. If you look at the overall change from 2019 to 2026, the average increase is less than 2.8% per year during that 8-year span. The national inflation rate is currently at 6.9%, so I really want to thank Council and City Administration for making sound financial decisions for the betterment of our community. And again, we are all taxpayers as well, and standing amongst many business owners here, as I have been for the last 20 years as well, 30 years actually coming up, I understand those implications as well, understanding that that rate is much higher than a residential rate. So thank you for enduring through especially these tough times. But I'll have a little more later this morning, and I'll get into further background during the city finances section. The municipal government does not have jurisdiction over health care in Alberta. Yes, I know that's a question we get quite often. But Lethbridge City Council continues to support efforts to attract and retain medical professionals from the community. And this is done in collaboration with the group Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce, with Economic Development Lethbridge, and others within our community. This is a collaborative effort to get these doctors the retention and the recruitment that we need. A healthy and thriving community has to include obviously a strong base of family doctors. In phase 1 of marketing, the City of Lethbridge joined together with the Chinook Primary Care Network, Alberta Health Services, Economic Development Lethbridge for a campaign designed to sell physicians on the many different benefits of building a life and business here in Lethbridge. Phase 2 of the city's marketing campaign to attract new physicians launched on December 29th, 2022, with a post-media buy across the country. This phase is targeted to cities and newspapers where interest was previously demonstrated. The package included one editorial piece which ran in the National Post. And that post was featured Dr. Garland Yonker, a local physician that city administration has worked with for more than a year on this file. We also continue to advocate for partnership and promotion of the virtual opioid dependency program with mental health and addictions, as well as the addition of a catheterization lab in Lethbridge and for an academic teaching clinic. Last September, Alberta Health Services announced that 17 family medicine physicians have committed to Lethbridge and are awaiting their College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta practice readiness assessments. 4 have already started, and I've had the opportunity to meet 2 of them. 2 more are anticipated to begin this month, with 5 more by April and the final 6 by July. Here's a marketing video created to help tell the story of Lethbridge.
This is a story that started by a river, nestled in the prairies, at the foot of the mountains. In this place grew a city that from its beginning had an eye towards the future. Today, Lethbridge has grown into something better, a gateway to opportunity, a place that's learning, adapting, a place where athletes are forged and artists flourish, a place where
Oki means hello.
This is a story of a city built around balance between industry and community, arts and science, work and play. Lethbridge is far from the noise, but close to the action. This is a story of resilience, a city reconciling with its past to meet the challenge of the future. This is the story of a city by the river, one whose best chapters are not behind, but ahead. Come be a part of it.
The Story of Lethbridge video was also produced by a local company, Output Media, as part of the physician recruitment marketing campaign last year. Now, let's move on to snow control changes. Something really exciting. Oh, some excitement over at this table. Great. Each winter, City of Lethbridge Transportation Operations staff provide winter snow and ice control services to keep Lethbridge safely on the move. In response to public feedback and City Council approval, the city will be adjusting snow clearing practices. Some of those changes residents will notice this winter include Phase 1. Snow routes will be activated during heavy snow events. This will include temporary parking restrictions with enforcement and the implementation of plowing to the right on approximately 25 kilometers of selected roadways. Starting in winter of 2023-2024 and continuing into winter of 2024-2025, Phase 2 will include the provision of more residential plowing, less snow removal only in a hospital area downtown and around schools, in combination with declaring snow routes more frequently citywide with enforcement of snow route parking restrictions. I say route and I say route. I guess both are okay, right? Find out more about this project, view snow route maps, access notification tools, and provide feedback by visiting Get Involved Lethbridge. Snow and ice control changes. Get Involved Lethbridge, snow and ice control changes. Residents can also call or go to our online chat at 311 with inquiries and comments related to this project. Next, major projects and events. In this next section, I'll identify and discuss some of the major projects and events that have started, happened, or been updated in Lethbridge in the past year or so. Lethbridge Airport. Last May, we were pleased to have the grand reopening at the Lethbridge Airport, which is a key piece of infrastructure in the continued growth of our economy. After investing $2.6 million into the airport, the city leveraged an additional $23 million in provincial and federal grant funding for a variety of critical infrastructure projects. Those projects focused on increasing passenger traffic, revenue diversification through land development, fire safety, and more. This positions our city and region in a competitive place for business attraction and retention for years to come. The city has a path forward to increasing passenger traffic and revenue diversification through land development. When fully developed, the YQL lands could provide $10 million annually in lease revenue. Construction work continues at the Lethbridge Airport with the pavement rehabilitation, baggage carousel, airfield lighting system, etc. will be completed this year. Lethbridge City Council last year also endorsed a new airport incentive framework designed to find and discuss potential agreements with airlines regarding future options for passengers flying in and out of Lethbridge. Of course, we were disappointed when in November, due to supply chain issues and subsequent safety concerns, the difficult decision was made to cancel the upcoming Flair Airlines route from Lethbridge to Tucson and defer the launch until next season. Now, I was scheduled to be on that inaugural flight, and I think there's not many people that are more upset than myself, because to get away down to that warm location, especially if you remember what it was like in early December, it was a welcome to be able to get away, but that will be coming back. Last June, we were pleased to open the new Festival Square Market Plaza in downtown Lethbridge. The $1.71 million project, entirely funded through the province of Alberta's provincial municipal stimulus program, is a versatile, active, and engaging public space for people and the local businesses in the area. We've already seen the farmers market return, a skating rink, several major big screen viewings such as the Amazing Race Canada and Canada Games at the 2022 World Cup, which was extremely exciting to attend, as well as events such as the Oktoberfest return. Festival Square, along with the rebuilt stretch of 3rd Avenue from 4th Street to 8th Street in downtown Lethbridge, are two important projects that have given new life to existing assets that have built off the success of our patio and parklet infrastructure investment. Legacy Park. Last August, we were thrilled to officially open the second phase of Legacy Park, the regional north destination for residents and visitors. Phase 2 amenities include a spray park, discovery playground, pavilion and picnic shelter. With generous funding coming from the Government of Canada and Government of Alberta, the City of Lethbridge has capitalized on creating a fun play space enjoyable for all. At 550 square meters, this is now the largest spray park location within the city. Construction of additional pickleball courts should be also underway this year, and that's more information to talk about that as that came through to Economic Standing Policy Committee just as of yesterday, so there'll be more discussions on that. Indigenous relations. In celebration of the National Indigenous Peoples Day in 2022, we encourage the community to add a Blackfoot word into their vocabulary. Sikokitoki is the Blackfoot word for the land Lethbridge is located on. By bringing attention to the word and working to incorporate it into our everyday conversation, it helps to recognize Blackfoot culture throughout the city and beyond. In September, the City of Lethbridge partnered with 6 organizations within the community to continue the celebration of Blackfoot culture and the city's official greeting, Oki. The additional Oki signs are hosted at the following partner organizations: Primaris, which is Park Place Mall, the University of Lethbridge, Galt Museum and Archives, the Lethbridge Public Library, Allied Art Council, and Lethbridge and District Exhibition. The purpose of this continued initiative is to celebrate Blackfoot culture and language across the community and to celebrate the important role that Oki has come to play within our community as a symbol of respect, understanding, and reconciliation, and the hallmark of Sikokitok. If there's one street in Sikokitoki that perhaps best reflects Nitsipitapi, Blackfoot culture and territory our city is located on, it is the Great Bear Boulevard. Along the approximately 600-meter stretch of road, there are a number of Indigenous art installations and references to Blackfoot culture, and that's where the new fire hall is. Thank you very much. Yeah, that end. Our health table is also a big step forward, and again, I'll discuss more of that later in the presentation. Let's talk about some exciting things. Not that everything else hasn't been exciting, and we're going to get more exciting with taxes, but let's head on to the Tim Hortons Briar. One of the biggest events to grace our city in recent years was the 2022 Tim Hortons Briar. What an absolutely incredible showcase this was for our city, especially as the pandemic capacity limit restrictions were lifted only days earlier. Hotels and restaurants were packed. Shopping was packed. I'd like to again thank all the organizers, the Lethbridge Curling Club, the volunteers, and again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of volunteers within our community. They come when we call, and it's just been amazing. Also, the NMAC Center and all the attendees for making the event a major success. The 2022 Briar generated more than $10 million of total money spent in Lethbridge. I'd say that's a pretty great return for the $1 million of cash and in-kind support contributed from the city. By hosting the Briar and having previously hosted the World's Men's Curling Championship, the World's Mixed Doubles Curling Championship, the World Seniors Curling Championships, the World Women's Curling Championship, and the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, Lethbridge is now the only city to have hosted each and every one of these events. So that is quite a notable accomplishment. Lethbridge was a recipient of nearly $5.5 million of government funding to improve broadband internet connectivity in the Sharing and Churchill industrial parks. We know this has been a major need for years, and in July of last year, the first customer installation took place, with many more the following weeks. We look forward to further expansion opportunities in the future. Since March 11th, 2019, the friendly folks at Lethbridge 311 have been helping answer residents' questions about city services. Residents rely on 311 to get answers, and now contacting them is easier than ever. Last fall, we launched a 311 chat, a live online chat available on lethbridge.ca and 311.lethbridge.ca. It's a new, convenient way for residents to get answers to their questions about city services. For those unaware, through the Lethbridge Loop app, we also have a way for Lethbridge residents to receive City of Lethbridge service reminders, and the residents can download the free smartphone app to receive waste and recycling reminders, as well as notifications for planned power outages, street sweeping, and water main work. Lethbridge Loop also allows the city to send notifications directly to residents so they can be in the loop about scheduled services that affect their homes and daily lives. Here's a short video on the Lethbridge Loop app that was produced by local company Coalbanks Creative.
Impress your friends and influence your neighbors by downloading the new Lethbridge Loop app. You'll never miss another city service reminder.
It's great to see that local talent there too. I'm sure many have recognized those in the video. So Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services are using technology and education to solve industry-wide challenges in cardiac resuscitation. This is some extremely exciting stuff. I'm sure you've seen it out on the news as of late. Using data from real-time events, LFES has worked with Alberta Health Services to create new protocols that are saving lives and garnering attention from agencies across North America. More than 90% of local cardiac arrest patients who are resuscitated by LFES are now arriving at the hospital with a pulse. Prior to implementing a new software called Case Review, just 50% of those patients arrived with a pulse. One of the provider trends identified by playing back real-time events was that cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, was sometimes stopped for a short time for other treatments, like starting an IV. After identifying those pauses, crews have changed the process to ensure CPR is never stopped for any reason. LFES has presented their new processes and results at several industry conferences, including the Paramedicine Across Canada Expo held in Saskatoon this past September. Now to free bus passes for refugees. Last July, City Council approved $90,000 from council contingencies for Lethbridge Transit through the Fee Assistance Program to provide a 6-month bus pass to all new refugees arriving in Lethbridge in 2022. At the end of 2022, there were funds remaining in the program that were not used. These funds have been approved for the use to continue this program through January and February 2023, or until all previously applied funding is spent. Lethbridge Transit will issue 2-month bus passes for eligible applicants in January and 1-month passes to eligible applicants in February until the funding runs out. A transit support bus pass program policy will be presented at the Governance Standing Policy Committee on February 22nd for ongoing operations of this program. After the summer of 2021, this was one of the biggest topics at the 2022 State of the City Address. Good news, we haven't forgotten. Our Parks and Cemetery staff identified several strategies, including grasshopper predictions were performed in the fall of 2021, regular spraying will continue throughout the season, communication to the public via social media and webpage updates to help inform citizens on how to identify these issues, what they can do, and how to notify the city, grasshopper monitoring plan, which began last June. If grasshopper populations increase, explore different treatment options by partnering with Dan Johnson from the University of Lethbridge. Pre-emergent spraying for foxtails in the fall of 2022. We're thrilled that the Nikayukabuka Center is open, has become the new cultural centerpiece of the garden experience. When taxes, are we going to get that same excitement? Okay, great. Lethbridge Heritage Program was established in 2007 with an adoption of the Heritage Management Plan. The plan is currently being updated with feedback open until January 20th. The Historic Places Advisory Committee was created by a previous City Council to provide advice regarding the potential of a site for designation as a municipal historical resource. Since 2007, City Council has designated 28 historic places within Lethbridge as municipal historic resources. Last year, the Oliver Block was the latest to receive the designation. The 2-story building located at 316 5th Street South is one of the early symbols of economic prosperity and showcases some of the most interesting painted brick detailing in the downtown area. The building was purchased in 2017, saved from demolition, and extensively restored by current owner Hunter Hagee. Results of the 2022 community survey show that 90% of the respondents ranked their quality of life in Lethbridge as good or very good. The survey collected residents' feedback on topics like top-of-mind issues, satisfaction, importance and usage of city services, communication, customer service, financial planning and taxation, and overall quality of life. The 2022 community survey was conducted using a statistically valid phone survey balanced in an even mix of gender, age, income level, education, areas of the city, household size, and years living within Lethbridge. The survey reached residents both by landline and cell phone and randomly called participants, helping to get an even representation from the sometimes silent majority. It's a useful tool and essentially a community report card to help inform council on how residents see their quality of life in the city and their thoughts on city services. It's been a year and a half, but in 2021, on the 112th anniversary of the completion of the Lethbridge's iconic high-level bridge, the City of Lethbridge introduced a fresh, new brand. This change was designed to help build community pride while attracting new visitors, investors, businesses, students, and residents. The City of Lethbridge's brand is built on 4 foundations: community service, people and success, the visual community, let's get that, service, people, and success. Successful people, that fits right in anyways, right? The visual aspects of the brand combine the elements of a progressive city with local perspectives while trying in the movement of the Old Man River located in the heart of Blackfoot territory. Let's take a look at the promotional video that's created by our communications and engagement department within the City Hall.
When our city was founded way back in 1906, it was still searching for its identity. So City Council put up a $25 prize in a community-wide coat of arms contest. That contest established the symbol that would represent our city for the next 114 years. But our story has changed so much over the last century. We've grown from 2,300 people to a population of more than 100,000 strong. That makes us the third largest city in Alberta. We have 2 world-class post-secondary institutions. And we're the hub for an emerging agri-food industry. We're known for our picturesque parks and amazing facilities. We're growing into a progressive city that continues to attract students, residents, businesses, and visitors. Lethbridge is Alberta's blueprint for success, the solution that integrates community strength, strong roots, ingenuity, opportunity, and purpose, built to serve and grow an evolving community. We are an inspirational force of nature, built with the aim to instill trust and provide limitless possibilities for the future, while honoring and recognizing that these are the traditional lands of the Blackfoot people. We love the history of our crest, but it's time to bridge our past with our future. We're a growing city. With forward-thinking perspectives. It's time to step up and speak out about the amazing opportunities right here in Lethbridge. This is our new story. Let's turn the page.
And again, another huge shout out to Hunter Hagee, which narrated that. This will be one of the shorter sections today, but it's also one that has the most collective impact. All of these logos, and I apologize if anyone was missed, and of course that does happen, represent some of the most important stakeholders in our community and region. Please give them a round of applause. City Council and City Administration looking forward to working with all of you moving forward. And again, probably some that were missed, and I can pretty much guarantee it, but please reach out after, and we'll still work together with you all. City of Lethbridge and Lethbridge Exhibition Expansion Project and the Agri-Food Hub is getting closer and closer to its grand opening. This project is a huge economic catalyst that will lead to greater investment and job creation as agricultural industries further develop in the city and region. Lethbridge is proud to be recognized as part of Canada's premier food corridor, and we look forward to strengthening that position with this project. And Mike, thank you very much for all the work that you've been doing in this, and your team. That board has done some amazing work with that. Thank you. After many years of working to establish a permanent site, last April finally marked the grand opening of the permanent location of the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame at the ATB Centre. Lethbridge City Council is thrilled that this permanent space is finally open for our community to see and to celebrate. For a city our size, we have certainly produced an incredible amount of amazing athletes, coaches, builders, and Olympians. We've also created a wonderful legacy by hosting many world-class events here in Lethbridge. Sports and sporting events have the power to bring people together and cultures together, and this local commemoration is great to see. With the 4th annual Brighter Together survey, Economic Development Lethbridge, the Downtown BRZ, and the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce have worked together to survey local businesses in order to better understand and evaluate the businesses landscape in our region. Spoke a little bit about that earlier. Cindy had, and we'll see some cards that I think are out on the table. The goal is to learn about opportunities to enhance local business services and reduce barriers to doing business that local organizations presently face. It measures the current economic climate, anticipates and recognizes the challenges that our local organizations are facing, and highlights and articulates our comparative advantages as a city. Thanks so much to EDL Lethbridge, who will be issuing a media release, I believe, later on today. Is that correct to say? Yeah. So this is extremely exciting news. And again, some information you'll find at the tables, and if there's some cards, I'm sure if you go by that EDL table, they'll be more than happy to fill you in on that information. During the next 6 to 12 months, 69% of businesses are optimistic. 60%, as we'd heard, of businesses have witnessed moderate or substantial growth, with only 15% that have witnessed a moderate substantial decline. This is down from 25% in 2021. The top 3 location advantages to doing business in Lethbridge are quality of life, collaborative environment, proximity to complementary industry, and proximity to complementary industries. While the top 3 locational challenges include utilities cost, municipal task environment, and workforce availability. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this, and we look forward to learning more in the full report very soon. We've now arrived at everyone's favorite section, city finances. And that's where it should have been city finances. Let me begin by saying we have some excellent resources on the city website that provide additional detail and are really easy to understand. Just visit lethbridge.ca and search for city finances. This video is a few years old and it may be a bit simplified, but it still has relevant information. It's a great breakdown of the process.
Every year, the City of Lethbridge sends you a property tax bill in the mail. You know you have to pay the bill, but do you really understand your taxes? How do they decide how much your property is worth? How is the bill calculated? And where does all the money go? Hopefully this simple explanation gives you the answers you need this tax season. When you pay your taxes, a good portion of that will go to the City of Lethbridge. There'll also be a portion going to the provincial government for education and to Green Acres Foundation for seniors housing. The majority of your tax dollars go towards essential city services like police, fire, transit, and roads, and the remaining money is used for important programs and services that help make Lethbridge a vibrant and safe community. So now we understand why we need to gather taxes from residents. But who decides how much? As part of the Municipal Government Act, or the MGA, like all cities in Alberta, the City of Lethbridge can only collect the taxes needed to run the city. That's why it's important that City Council approves a budget that will fund all city services. Once that budget's set, other sources of revenue like provincial and federal grants are subtracted. Add in the amount the province requires us to collect for education and seniors housing, and what you're left with is the total property tax the city needs to collect in order to balance the budget. From year to year, your taxes might go up or down slightly. Let's take a look at the factors that impact your tax bill. What will it cost in the next year to run the city's programs and services? What's the assessed value of your home? And what's the current value of all the homes in Lethbridge? Now comes the tricky part, understanding how to calculate your piece of that big tax pie. To figure out your portion of the taxes, we take the total property tax needed and divide that by the value of all the properties in Lethbridge to get something called a mill rate. The assessed value of your property is times by the mill rate, and that determines what you'll pay on your tax bill. Let's look at a quick example to see how this works. Pretend you live in a city called Taxville. Population 3. Your house is worth $150,000. Neighbor number 1 has a house worth $125,000, and neighbor number 2 has a house worth $225,000. Add all of these together, and the value of all the homes in Taxville is $500,000. This year, Taxville will need $5,000 in property tax money to run the city. Divide that by the total value of all the homes, which was $500,000, and we get our mill rate of 0.01. Now here's how we apply that to your home. If your property was assessed at $150,000 and we times that by the mill rate, your tax bill will be $1,500. Remember neighbor number 1 whose house was worth $125,000? Their taxes will be $1,250, and neighbor number 2 will pay $2,250. Here you can simply see how everyone pays their fair share of taxes based on the value of their property. Add these all together and we get the $5,000 needed to run Taxville. Now that you understand how your taxes are calculated and how those dollars are used to make Lethbridge a better place to live, we hope paying your taxes feels a little less painful and maybe a little bit more like an investment in your community.
Again, quite a simplified video, and we want to give a shout out to Tara and our communications department that narrated that. But it is a few years old, but it definitely is. It's simplified to be able to understand taxation at its lowest level. What does it take to operate the city on a day-to-day basis? 22% protective services, police, fire, and EMS. 19% electric. 17% infrastructure and transportation services. 14% leisure and human services. These four areas comprise more than 70% of our annual operating budget. So where does the revenue come from to fund the operating budget? 42% come from the sales and goods of services, including utility service charges and user fees for things like recreation and culture facilities. 33% come from the municipal portion of your property taxes and other municipal levies. Here's a little more detailed illustration to break down what the municipal portion of your tax bill paid for in 2022. You'll see the largest cent going towards our vital emergency services, with police at 15 cents of your dollar and fire and emergency services at 14 cents, and 15 cents going towards community services. The tax increase I spoke about earlier will be applied to municipal portion of residential property taxes. Individual properties may see a tax change on their bills for other reasons, such as a change in property assessment, the value of your home, business, or multi-family complex, an increase to the Green Acres Foundation budget, or to the Alberta school budget, a new construction or demolition, as was noted in the video earlier. Property tax bills are specific to each property. And so, of course, anyone with questions can contact 311 and get specific information to their assessment and tax bill. You can also visit lethbridge.ca/taxes to learn more about those property taxes. A common narrative that seems to be often stated is that Lethbridge is near the top of the tax rate levels in Alberta. So let me help clarify that. Comparing property tax from municipality to municipality is not as straightforward as some may think. Simply comparing mill rates from municipality to municipality doesn't tell the entire story. Many of us have heard the phrase, comparing apples to apples, and this is the difficult part of the question. To calculate a mill rate, as we've seen, all municipalities use a formula. Total property taxes needed divided by the total assessment value equals the mill rate. To calculate a resident's tax bill, as we've seen in the video, we multiply that mill rate by the property assessed value. Residents often compare mill rates between municipalities, and it doesn't really show that apples to apple comparison. The correct comparison is to take the average home value for each municipality and multiply by the mill rate to compare the total taxes paid on an average value home. For example, and we did see this here, an average value home in Calgary at $500,000 would be comparable to an average value home here in Lethbridge of about $310,000. To take it a step further, there should be a comparison of the levels of services against each municipality. The total property taxes needed to operate the city is approved by each municipality's council and is highly dependent on the level of services provided to its residents. In third-party operational reviews of the City of Lethbridge, the consultants reported that the City of Lethbridge has been observed to have a higher level service intensity relative to other mid-sized Canadian cities. Many people have also reached out to me regarding their recent property assessment notices about increases they have seen. First off, you're definitely not alone. I received my property tax for commercial, and I'm sure many of you in this room understand how that multiplier goes from residential, and it definitely hits that pocketbook for sure. Real estate values and prices are up across Alberta, which does show that strong market. Assessed values are reviewed at 3 points in the valuation process: by the city's internal checks and balances, by the Government of Alberta's annual assessed audit process and by individual property owners' review of their notice. You can also use the city's property information web map online to compare your assessment to your neighbors and other similar properties that have recently sold. You can also contact the assessment department with any questions or more details on your assessment, and they'd be more than happy to assist you or answer any of your questions. The most recent capital improvement program, the CIP for 2022 to 2031, was approved in June of 2021. That council did our best to achieve a balance between essential projects and investing in projects to generate employment and improvement in the city, as well as being cautious not to spend all the money that was available. The full CIP is on the city's website, but some of the improved projects include waste and recycling, curbside organics collection, electric bus and charging infrastructure, Henderson Ice Center upgrades, the Twin Outdoor Sports Courts, Legacy Park pickleball courts, Fritzick Pool renovation, and the Warehouse District Area Redevelopment Plan. In July 2022, Council approved the 2026 Capital Improvement Program updates to align with operating budget timelines. In August 2021, City Council approved the streamlining of the operating and capital budgets to achieve an aligned four-line CIP and operating budget cycle. Only 4 years, 2022 to 2025, have previously been approved with the 2022 to 2031 CIP. This will allow the four-year capital and operating budgets to be aligned starting in 2026 for the 2027 to 2030 budget cycle. Gosh, that's a mouthful, hey? Wow. This change will make a previous practice where council debates and approves a four-year budget cycle every 2 years, alternating between CIP and operating budget. City Council stewards the budget on behalf of the community, and this change will help Council provide better budgetary oversight, better connect the capital and operating budgets, and help Council strategically focus on revenues and expenditures. This new process also gives councillors more opportunity to effect changes within the budgets in the course of their term. Last year, the city reimagined its annual report to the community. By adding a new digital storyboard, the city is creating a more accessible, visible, and cost-effective way to share the year's accomplishments with residents. In the past, the city's annual report compiled both the narrative and the finances into one document that was both printed and provided as an online PDF, a method that wasn't overly engaging or accessible. Providing transparency into the city's finances is another important goal of the annual report. Understanding how tax dollars are spent helps the community see the value they get living in Lethbridge and builds trust and confidence between residents and local government. 2022 annual report will be out this spring. Okay, on to the final section for the 2023 State of the City address. Here are some of the next steps and big items to look forward to this year. A one-of-a-kind partnership between key stakeholders was announced in November to try and tackle the health and social challenges of the city and surrounding areas. The creation of an intergovernmental health table is a proactive step in bringing together invested partners to look at the key issues affecting members of the Blood Tribe and Lethbridge communities. Members include vice chairs, Blood Department of Health chairperson Charles Weaselhead and myself, plus Deputy Premier, Minister of Infrastructure and MLA of Lethbridge East, Nathan Newdorf, the Ministries of Mental Health and Addictions and of Seniors, Community and Social Services, as well as Alberta Health Services. We'll meet on a regular basis to review matters of relevant importance to each community with a solid understanding of respect, inclusion, and collaboration. Council last fall directed administration to implement recommendation number 1 in the Indigenous Placemaking Public Realm Audit, the development of a committee composed of Indigenous elders, Indigenous members, and knowledgeable people of the community and surrounding region. The next steps will be to create an implementation strategy aligning with the other 30 recommendations and report back at the end of March 2023. This project will involve conducting a review of the current and planned inventory of city-owned parks, neighborhood and facilities, collectively the public realm, and determine opportunities to enhance Indigenous placemaking, i.e. the incorporation, reflection of Blackfoot and other Indigenous languages and cultures, so to incorporate that into that public realm. City crews are getting ready to roll out the green carpet. Oh, I got some giggles, oh boy. The first rollout last year in 3 neighborhoods included consultation with participants to help inform decisions around the future implementation of this citywide curbside organics program, which is scheduled for this spring. Each household will have received the 240-liter green cart and an 8-liter kitchen catcher pail with an ins and outs brochure and user guide about the program. We'll have plenty more information about this in the next few months, and I'm sure there's questions from a business level on that as well. In December, City Council voted to rescind previous Council's decision to proceed with an analysis and possible implementation of a ward system of elections, including rescindment of a one-time budget of up to $297,000. We also voted to direct a new potential option for the Governance Standing Policy Committee to report back to Council by Q2 of 2023, having conducted a robust examination of a precinct model being one example, and a strategy and timeline for implementation, including any budget and resourcing requirements. The primary impetus for amending the current model is to develop a more democratic election process that would provide for effective and efficient representation, and that the precinct model, as one of the examples, is designed to eliminate the need for a further cost of review process by addressing at-large representation and blending it with geographic accountability, therefore improving the existing model. A $3.8 million investment for the the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund will be used to help Lethbridge residents make real, tangible energy efficiency and sustainability improvements to their homes. Lethbridge is one of the 4 Alberta communities sharing in over $25 million in funding delivered through the Community Efficiency Financing Initiative to implement energy retrofit financing programs for residential properties. Whether it's new windows or doors, or finally being able to afford installing solar panels, this investment will give our residents an advantage when it comes to being sustainably minded citizens. But perhaps most importantly, we're going to see a reduction in Lethbridge's overall carbon footprint. This funding will allow the City of Lethbridge to establish a lending program for homeowners wanting to make energy efficient improvements. The loan can be repaid over time through city property tax bills. One unique and value-added bonus for Lethbridge is that 20% of this funding is dedicated to supporting affordable housing providers. This means that some of the most vulnerable members of our community will get to experience the improved facilities. The Lethbridge program is expected to be available in late February 2023 and be offered on a first-come, first-served basis to all Lethbridge homeowners. We'll have more information on this to share in the coming weeks. There will also be 2 webinars, one on January 27th for contractors to learn how they can qualify for the Alberta Municipalities Contractor Directory. The 2022 Alberta Electric Systems Operators, the AESO long-term plan, has identified the need to construct a new substation in West Lethbridge by 2028, along with a new transmission line connecting the new substation to Lethbridge's existing substation located just south of Copperwood. Council's last fall approved one-time funding of $500,000 from the Electric Reserve to complete the Chinook Trail functional planning study in 2023, which is required in 2023 in order to meet the approval and construction deadlines. Funding will be recovered as part of the Transportation's long-term CIP budget engagement with AESO and has been done through the rollout of their long-term plan with additional follow-up meeting, and further engagement will proceed as part of the requirements involving all affected parties. The City of Lethbridge is currently working on the project that will reimagine how residents engage on the cityoflethbridge.ca. The project goal is to simplify the online experience and allowing residents to find information, pay, apply, or engage with the City of Lethbridge quickly and efficiently. Last fall, we hosted an online survey that tested and tracked how users navigate to different types of information on lethbridge.ca. Lethbridge residents were asked a series of questions on the path they use to locate the information in order to assist city staff in determining the best layout for the new website. The reimagined Lethbridge.ca is anticipated to be completed in late spring 2023. Following the parade, we're getting almost there. Promise. We'll leave time for questions here. Following the parade in August, I helped celebrate the return of Whoop Up Days with the first Mayor's Community Barbecue. Thanks to a group of sponsors, 1,300 people outside Lethbridge City Hall we served 1,300 people outside City Hall on 4th Avenue. That's it. Musician Trevor Panzak and his band entertained the crowd with a full concert set on the steps of City Hall during the event, while champion chuck wagon driver Chris Smoley, who won the Calgary Stampede's Dash for Cash, was on hand for autographs. In addition to the food, music, and face painting for kids, City of Lethbridge staff were able to provide engagement information to almost 100 residents. In November, we had the second Mayor's Community Hockey Challenge. The game featured a team of community partners made up from many local institutions, including Lethbridge College, the University of Lethbridge, Lethbridge and District Exhibition, Lethbridge Hurricanes. The city team saw volunteers from a range of departments, including the Lethbridge Police Service, the Fire and EMS, City Clerks, Land Development, and City Council. With approximately 240 pounds of food donations and gifts received plus almost $2,000 in financial contributions, the estimated total raised to date from the event is approximately $3,000. I've had some ideas brewing and looking forward to finding new opportunities to give back to the community by holding further Mayor community events in 2023. City of Lethbridge will certainly be watching closely over the next month when the next provincial budget will be released. We have and continue to advocate for areas of need and are excited at the possibilities. We'll also be watching closely in May for what impacts the next provincial election may hold for Alberta. So on behalf of Lethbridge City Council, we wish all the candidates luck in their pursuits, and we look forward to working collaboratively with our elected officials at all levels of government for the betterment of Lethbridge. In the next few weeks, you may be seeing a brand new recruitment campaign around the city. Communications and engagement, along with people and culture, have been working on a new direction for recruitment that will showcase some of the amazing people and the variety of career options that we have to offer. There's a sense of pride that comes with working in public service, which we hope shows in this campaign. The video was shot in the summer of 2022 and will be the first of a series of videos, marketing campaigns that aim to showcase the different jobs we have to offer. As you'll hear in the video, it's not what we think that we're better than other places, but we can't help being proud of what we have to offer. Here's a video that was produced again by locally Cobanks Creative.
Lethbridge is a place unlike any other. It's not that we think we're better than other places, but we can't help but be proud of the things that make us special. Not the coulees, iconic span, the wind-carved landscape, or world-renowned flora, but the people, like you, like her, like them. Our friends, our neighbors, our family. We're proud to work for them. We'd love to work with you for the love of Lethbridge.
As I stated earlier, Lethbridge is the gateway to opportunity. Our City Council and administration believe and know this each and every day, and I hope I was able to provide some valuable information here at this 2023 State of the City address. And last night I wanted to make sure they add this in. We had a community conversation at the NMAX last night, and I know that sometimes these aren't the best attended, and we thought, if you get a couple 200, 300 people would be amazing to be able to answer questions. And there were 657 residents that showed up. We had 35 tables there, so that's great. So the full presentation of this, of the State of the City will be available on the city's website by Friday, and Shaw Lethbridge will have all the video on broadcast and on its YouTube page. Thanks again to Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce, Stringham LLP, LA Chefs, and the Lethbridge Coast Hotel and Conference Center for hosting us all this morning. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a few people here. I was attending an event last week, and it was put on by a law firm in Calgary, and it was a bunch of elected officials were there. I was having a bunch of other colleagues throughout the Alberta, and one of the comments that was made there is the importance, and he reiterated it numerous times throughout the presentation, the importance to work with your city manager and how important that is and how your city will fail if you don't have that relationship. I know a lot of times I'll talk to different folks around the community, and we need to challenge. That's absolutely true. We need to challenge our administration and make sure that they're held to task on things. And you know what? They'll do the same thing with us. But it's important to understand the relationship that you need to have with our city administration. And I'd like to thank Mr. Brierley, that's been in this job for, about a year for his work, and the executive leadership team. So thank you very much for your work. As well, I need to give a thanks to our communications department because, gosh, you've seen what has been done here, and I see Nick here, and we spent a lot of time over these past couple of weeks as we're going through different things to present, and just the support and the help that they have done for council and getting our message out to the community is second to none. So I really want to make sure that I thank them, and I know Nick, especially this last week here, and Keegan doing the video up that we're putting together. There's some great work being done in that department and all our departments throughout the community. So just, if we could just give them a round of applause. And last but not least, thank you to all of you for attending. I know these past years have been a struggle. They've been tough. I know that as being a business owner, I share with you some of those struggles. But it looks like we've got a future ahead that we can all be proud of as we make our way into 2023. So with that, thank you very much. Please be safe and kind to one another.